Okay, this is the live video of Thanksgiving. I didn't have enough time to do it before, so I have to do it now, and I just need to know if um, the audio is good, so I can continue. So can you guys tell me if the audio is good, so I can continue with the live video. And I'm sorry, then I didn't announce it before. And this was just um a live video that I decided to do because it's the end of the month of November, and I don't have enough time to do it. And I'm being honest. I mean, with that, I don't have enough time to do it, and these days are coming. I won't be able to, do any more videos. So this concludes basically the um, a live video of month of November, and there is only one more to go, and that will be December. So in this video, everything is going to be about Thanksgiving, I suppose, and questions, whatever questions you have. I don't have a specific topic for this live video, to be honest, um, because I didn't think about anything in general. I just wanted to do a live video just to talk, which it's not a regular video. I suppose it's just like talking about stuff. So if you have any questions at any moment, you can ask me, and I'll try to answer them as they come. Um, Anything related to the trucks or any other questions that you have. But so far, I can say then 2025 has been a very erratic year. It's been good, it's been bad. There's so many things that have happened in 2025, and yes, I mean we are almost at the end of 2025, and this is the starting of the holiday season, and we are going to have more time off, I will say, because as it is, I won't be working on Friday. I'll be coming back on Monday, and it was a pretty busy day because I had to finalize most of the things. Then uh, then had to be done today. So on Friday there is nothing to do, and Monday, we're gonna come back. So whoever has a truck here at the shop, they can come pick it up on Friday because many of truck drivers are going to leave on Friday. So I wanted to make sure then those trucks were ready before I leave today, and that's how it is. I still have to after the live video. I still have to do a couple calls to let people know, and they can come to pick up the trucks if they need to on Friday, and if not on Saturday. Even though then I won't be here, I mean the trucks are going to be here, and they can come picking up, and that's not a problem. It is the holiday season is really bad. There's so many things going on, so much pressure from trucks that need to be done because people gotta need to go after the holiday. But that's how it is. Every year is the same. There is not a difference between that. So we have a question. So you say question, okay. What is your throw killing the diesel on kill diesel additive to kill? Oh, what's the last word? Algae? I don't understand the last word. Uh, my question. Your question about the diesel additive. Killing. I have no idea what you mean on the last. Um, uh, the last part of the question. But in general, if you are using diesel additives on trucks, I suppose then it is okay at some point use diesel additives. The only problem with diesel additives doesn't matter what kind of additive you use, is then eventually uh, toasting the ground the gas tank. Huh. Well, I have never experienced with that kind of stuff because over here in this area, I have never had an issue with tanks having stuff in the having tanks having stuff inside, some kind of thing or something. I mean, debris and all that is normal, but no, I'm not familiar with that at all, to be honest. So I cannot give you a point of view on that because I don't have an actual explanation for that or experience on that specific topic. But what I was saying about diesel additives in general, I would say then whatever you use for a, I mean, whatever the reason you use a diesel additive, just uh, just make sure to don't leave the diesel additive on your truck after using it. So what I mean is like you have to consume the additive. So if you start the truck with the diesel additive, you have to make sure that the fuel then it has been mixed with goes to completely empty, and then add no new fuel to it. Because if you leave the trucks with diesel additives, whatever what type of additive that is, usually they damage the internal components, injectors, fuel pumps, and stuff like that. I don't know, for some reason they do that, and that is specifically after 1 week or 2 weeks of the truck being sitting with the diesel additive in the system. But if the truck is running with it, that's no problem. So I'm not sure what's the consistency of the diesel additive, what specific thing the diesel additive has inside and creates that kind of corrosion inside. But only if the diesel additive is sitting for a long time, ambient temperature, creates a problem. Other than that, there is no problem. So meanwhile, you use the truck, there is no problem. But as I say, I mean, okay, with that, I'll be honest, and I don't have much experience to say or to talk about or to give my opinion. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I would say then if you wanna keep your truck running well all the time, sometimes it's not necessary to add any additives. It's not necessary to put extra stuff to your trucks to make them run longer than what they supposed to run. All you need to do is like uh, dry your truck well. I mean, dry it as smooth as possible, and the truck is gonna last longer than normal because you are uh, like using the truck like a person. That's what they say. Uh, like a person, not like an animal. So, and that's how your truck is going to last longer. You don't need to use any type of additives or anything, and that prolongs the life of any trucks in general. Um, I think there is so many things. Then we can talk about repairs and all that, but every truck has a specific way how to be repaired, and there is people then calls me here and there, and they ask me about fuel problems. In this case, let's say fuel problems because that's one of the most complex repairs that you can do, and electronic problems as well. Um, but people call me about fuel problems, and they say, "Hey, you know what? My truck doesn't start in the morning. It has a hard cranking times. I mean, it takes for a while, or I have to prime it, or I have to use starting fluid, or I have to use something else to make the truck run." So, what I can do to to fix that problem? And to that, to specific problems like that, the repairs are very specific. Um, it depends on the actual truck how the repair is going to go. In many cases, the repairs are not what they look like for this truck. Sometimes the repairs are more complex than others. I would say then in some cases, when you want to repair fuel problems, uh, sometimes the problem is the fuel filters, right? Because the fuel filters and you're done. And in some other extreme cases, the problem might be the fuel injectors or the fuel pump, right? Truck runs once it one starts, it runs perfect, but once you shut it off for a couple hours, it doesn't going to start. So for that, you have to investigate your truck liter by liter, and uh, and that is something that I cannot give to information to the actual person that is calling, and because I need to see the truck in order to know what is okay and what is not okay, or what I can try. Like let's remove the injectors and see how the injectors are. Let's remove the fuel pump. Let's take it apart and see how that is. And that's the only way I wanna know. Then the problem isn't that, or it is that. So that's what I tell a lot of people. Then so many of these problems are a specific problem. So I cannot give you information on what it needs to be done. I can tell you information about what you can do, find it out, but not to specifically where you have to go to fix it. Because in this case, like field problems are very, 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 very large situations, very, very large repairs, and require a lot of time, a lot of labor, and so many things. Let's say a noise like rather when I was away when I press the clutch pedal, what it can be. Sometimes that could be the clutch, the actual clutch and creating noises like that. I can say then depending on the clutch that you use, depending on the quality, the wear and tear of the clutch, um, and other components like fork and pilot bearing, that actually can change the noise of of the clutch, because the vibration whenever you press the clutch or whenever you don't press the clutch, that that you cannot tell. I mean, like it's pretty hard to know when the truck is. I mean, a clutch is completely balanced or not. So but most likely, when you press the clutch and the goes and the noise goes away, most likely the clutch is having the issue. But in order to know if you have a broken clutch or something, you have to remove it. You cannot just see the clutch uh, without removing it. You can access depending on the truck you have, but mostly most manual transmission trucks, they have a window, access window, where you can see the condition of the exterior condition of the clutch, but it doesn't tell you won't be able to know how the interior or the contact surfaces of the clutch are, and that's what matters. How the pilot bearing is, in what condition the clutch fork is, in what condition um, the clutch bearing is, right, because that also creates noises as well. So you have to look into that, I would say. um but yeah, and just the way as I said right now, I mean, like, yes, I mean, I can tell you when it comes to problems, I can tell you my this might be the case, right? But it's not, I am not telling you the clutch is the problem, right? I'm telling you that that might be the case. You have to open it and see it. And and that's how that's the problem, when I'm giving information to the people want specific information because they want to do a easy repair, right? But repairs, problems in this case, that's the reason why they're problems, right? because they're hard to fix. They're problems to solve, and the only way to solve these problems by finding the solution of the problem. Um, but yeah, at some point I will say then if you're wrong with the problems and I don't have the answer, or I won't give you a specific answer, if you call me, well, it's not because I don't want to give you the specific answer, because I need more information than that, and that information is only um, I am only able to pull it if I have the truck here, because I need to investigate more and more and more. Or if you are a mechanic, or technician, or anyone that has more experience, you can tell me more, and I can give more. I can create a troubleshooting myself and create more ideas. But if I only get basic information, I only gonna give you basic information back. Um, say flying Paddy, say 2018, get the RD15 when she goes into passive region. It sounds like it's running with the cylinders. Only when you barely touch the pedal on cruise, maintain the speed. Um, Push pedal more and it goes away. Well, when the sometimes I would say, right, if the truck, because the region passive region is a very complicated region, right? Um, and the reason why it's complicated is because it's a partial region. It doesn't happen from like active region. Active region happens from 0 to 100, where the region is completed and it ends. Passive region starts from 0, stop at 5%, then waits whatever time, and then goes all the way to maybe 25 minutes waiting, and then another 5%, and then goes to 10%, and it goes like that. So it's a partial region, basically. So um, when you say 3 cylinders, it's exactly what happens, right? When a region is on motion and the temperature isn't it isn't on the actual number, then the computer needs it to be. Automatically, the computer activates the 3 front cylinders jailbreaks. Um, and this creates an excessive amount of compression and heat creation. Uh, in that way, in that with that mode, the computer is going to increase the temperature of the DPF way faster than a normal driving or a normal running for the engine. So um, the computer controls that, right? It will declare, okay, you know what, we need to do region, the truck is running at a specific speed, but the DOC inlet temperature is very low. And I am ready to do a region, so let's activate the cylinder deactivation, 3 cylinders with the jailbreak, so that way we can create more temperature with heat, because you are cruising, right? But when you press the gas, right? When you hit the gas, obviously you create more heat, right? Because you are pulling a lot. The engine is working harder to create speed, to maintain the speed, or to beat the speed, the current speed that you have, depending on if you are on a level surface or going uphill. So of course, I mean, you wanna create the temperature. You wanna start building, raising the temperature. Then the computer needs to start reading. So that is how you can hear that. I mean, it looks like 3 cylinders are not working, or it sounds like 3 cylinders, or the engine doesn't sound specifically how it normally sounds, specifically when you're doing rigging. And remember, when you are cruising, right? Most likely cruising requires low RPMs and high speeds. So when you have low RPMs, uh, definitely you won't create as much heat as when you have high RPMs. And that, of course, right, uh, creates a problem of low temperature on the exhaust. Because let's say, I mean, when you are running a truck and you are going uphill, right, with uh, torque demand in this case, the temperature of the DOC or the exhaust system can increase all from 300 Fahrenheit all the way to 1,500 Fahrenheit, because there is a large amount of temperature that has been released by the engine. So the truck, I mean the emission system doesn't need any help creating heat because the engine is already creating more than the heat that it needs, or delivering fuel to burn the ashes of the of the DPF and all that. But when you are cruising, I mean you don't have that power to create that amount of heat. So that's when you need more temperature and fuel delivery to the DPF. And so that way you can burn all the fuel, the extra, all the extra ashes that are uh, uh, trapped on the DPF. Okay, let's say we have another question. In your experience, what is the number one cause of injector failure in is about diesel? Um, yeah, I think injector failure. Well, when it comes to high pressure diesel injectors, they are set to work a specific amount of time, and not because they are like programmed to work 700,000 miles, right? No, it's because they are handling a lot of pressure. But let's say let's think about then the wear and tear isn't a factor, right? Let's think about that, and don't think about that. I just want to think about like what can kill an injector, right? Regardless of if the injector is brand new or used, right? Yes, bad diesel is one of them, and the reason why bad diesel is a big factor is because bad diesel has been contaminated, right? And this diesel has contamination from many different uh, 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 components. I mean, sources or whatever, right? Let's say a bad diesel might have some water in it. Bad diesel might have some uh, dirt in it. A bad diesel might have some other chemicals that cannot lubricate the components inside, or it can have some kind of oxidation, some kind of a material or a fluids that can create oxidation. So that is definitely the number one reason why injections go bad, and also people forgetting about uh, things, or people being mean and throwing stuff at the fuel tanks. You know, uh, if you use a truck correctly, uh, or you don't get any problems with any circumstance, the fuel injectors are going to last as long as they need to last. But if you wrong in circumstances, then you are was looking for cheap, very cheap fuel. Yeah, might be the case, and your injectors are going to go bad. If you don't replace the fuel filters, might be the case, then the injectors gonna go bad. Remember, then the fuel filters are the freeze or components of the fuel system, can receive all the debris or all the components, all the contaminants of the fuel that has been added to the fuel tanks. And if you don't uh, um, if you don't, let's say, you don't put the enough care to this, you are going to destroy your injectors. You don't, you are they're not going to last as you think they're gonna last. And plus, these injectors are very expensive because they're high pressure injectors, and they're very, very expensive, way more than what they're supposed to be, I think. But yeah, I think additives as another reason why fuels go bad. I mean, fuel injectors go bad. Because additives, as I said before, they have components. I mean, different type of materials, chemicals inside. Then they can destroy an injector. And sometimes the injector is okay. Let's say an injector is just like like just like a open and closed valve, right? And if there is any type of material, then seal some kind of like uh, a, cavity, then the injector had some kind of like damage that the injector had, and you throw an injector cleaner, the injector is going to be cleaned by the injector cleaner. So that cavity or whatever damage the injector had is going to be clean, and then you're gonna have more problems as well with injectors. Then we're perfectly fine, but because you are an additive, you started to have problems. It happens a lot with people. Um, let's say this makes perfect sense. It feels like Jacob too. I have a tablet driving with no cause happens. I am what cruising and pulling like lots. Yeah, I'm glad then you find my information very rewarding. Um, but it's basic. Well, I mean, for me, it's like logic, right? Because I work a lot with this, and it's a basic features that this truck have. If you cannot create the heat by requesting the torque demand, you have to create the heat by something else, and that's how manufacturers created many different components, right? To elevate or to increase the heat on DPS or exhaust systems, right? In this case, one of them will be the throttle valves in the front. The open and closed throttle valves, they are meant to increase temperature on the exhaust and also to redirect the gases, the EGR gases, uh, to the engine when this needs to work. And then the BGTs or the turbo actuators are another way to increase the temperature on the exhaust by releasing the temperature directly to the exhaust or by resisting and maintaining a high pressure on the exhaust, so that way whenever the exhaust travels to the turbo, it is already very hot. So manufacturers created so many of these, technologies to maintain the temperatures on these engines. Some of these are very reliable. Some of these are very bad. So, but regardless, you have to fix them when they go bad. If you maintain your DPF, in order. If not, you don't have to worry about that. Let's say. Kid Dofu says, what engine is easier to work on, DD15 or X15? Cummins IS6. IS6. I well, it depends. Both engines are hard to work on. Both engines are expensive to work on. But I would say then both engines are almost similar when it comes to, because they have their pros and their cons, right? Let's say if we have to do uh, a camshaft replacement, right? Let's say that a camshaft replacement on a D15 is way easier to do than a Cummins ISX or X15, because on the D15 you just have to remove the rocker shaft, and then you have access directly to the camshaft, right? On the ISX or the ISX or ISX, ISX 15 or X15, you have to remove the rear or everything in the front, because the camshaft, you have to pull it out. So the difficulty is higher on a Cummins X15 or ISX engines compared to the 15. But then you have the other thing is like if you have to do any work to the to the engine gears, right? So any reason a gear is broken, when a Cummins, you can do it. You remove the radiator, and then you have access to all the gears in the front, right? On the Detroit, you have to remove the transmission and everything, and you have to be underneath of the engine working and removing all that. And plus, because of this timing cover on the back is the same mounting uh, points for the engine on the back, you have to remove the engine mount. So the engine has to be completely on jacks, so that way you can remove the timing on the back. So it is, I think there is not a specific engine that is easier or harder. I think both have uh, jobs that are easy and jobs that are harder. Like I would say, then replacing the injectors on both engines is almost the same. Replacing the fuel pumps on both engines is difficult depending on the D15, depending on the chassis. It's easier or a little harder. And if you have a D13 with a short nose, forget about replacing a fuel pump. Very hard, extremely hard. But then on the H15 or the S615, depending on the chassis this is mounted, is going to be harder or easier to replace. On KW Peterbilt chassis, it's a little difficult, because the fuel pump is harder, it's pretty heavy and all that. So you have to drop it out. And yeah, it will be a little hard. But if you have a Freightliner chassis, that is really bad to replace a fuel pump. If you have never replaced the fuel pump on a Freightliner chassis, yeah, that is really bad, very bad. I mean, so there's no room for the fuel pump to remove it because that chassis, the Freightliner chassis, wasn't meant for Cummins. It was meant for Detroit. So and they didn't modify it. They just, let's put the let's install the Cummins. I don't care if people thinks then that is okay or not. So, and that's how the difficulties increases. So I don't have a general opinion on which one is better when it comes to work because you have to do it in any way, and I don't think one is easier than another. It is just depending on the job you have to do. That's how easier it's going to be or harder it's going to be. Okay, let's see. One on one of our trucks, injector fails in like 100,000 miles. Brandon says bad head valves. Any idea? 2017. But how the injector failed? I mean, the question is like, what happens to the injector? Injector leaks, injector electronically fail, injector gets clogged with stuff, or simply the injector breaks, right? Something, sorry, leaking fuel, all that. Uh, Maybe that information will help to think about what might be the case or what could be closer or any general idea or a specific idea on what could be the issue. If you can give me that, I can help you more. uh, so if you can do that, I answer the next question, you might be able to pull that information. I think most engines are expensive if not looked after. I look all over my for external issues and my son to look as well. I in case I miss something, um, I oil sample for internal issues. Yeah, that is well. I mean, oil sample is good for internal issues, I suppose, and uh, I suppose then yeah, all engines have good and bad, and they're expensive regardless. and there is no way to know which engine is better at this point because so much technology each engine has, and materials are being used. I think the major problem of engines being so unreliable nowadays it isn't that the engines are so unreliable, right? It is mainly the emissions is pushing technology, and technology is pushing weight, and weight is pushing fuel economy. So it's kind of like that. So that's the reason why engines are so fragile nowadays because they have to be light, they have to be emission compliance, they have to be powerful, they have to be uh, capable. So many things. So that's the reason why I think engines are bad, or they're not as reliable as before because before they used to be uh 34 wire metal pieces, right? Just if you don't have room for this thing, just cut the other piece and put it on top. And nowadays isn't the case. They have to design little thing by thing so that way it can fit, and it has to be light, and that makes the engines more unreliable, and especially using plastic components or components that are made of very fragile materials. Um, they're leaking internally, I suppose, right? Because that's the major cause of these issues of these injectors. They leak internally, and fuel goes inside. It doesn't smoke, I suppose, right? It just leaks through the fuel system. Um, well, are you using OEM injectors? Are you using reveal injectors or remanufactured injectors? What kind of injectors are you using? That's another good question. Then I might think. So injectors don't just leak, uh, and there is a specific amount of pressure than the injectors have, and that is 800 bars, right? And if it doesn't go beyond that, and if it goes beyond that, if the fuel pressure goes beyond 800 bars, the computer automatically is going to shut the engine off immediately, uh, unless the engine is not going to shut off, right? If the truck is being pushed when the clutch is activated, right? You have a manual transmission or automatic transmission in some cases. If the clutch is completely applied and is getting pushed down the hill, or simply by just the regular force, then you have the inertia force and the truck has. Uh, this pump is going to continue building pressure because working the same way. It might cause problems like that. But usually, I'll say then, based on I have seen like many different injectors, right? Like failures, right? And most likely when an injector fails, uh, it isn't because it is just a failure of it. It's just because it's had not good quality in so many cases. But I just wanna know what kind of quality you use so I can create more question. But in my case, I would say then I would just buy injectors, right? And are remanufactured or new, or are by then aftermarket, in this case Bosch. Bosch is the branding manufacturer the injectors for Detroit, but it's not exactly the same injector. It is just an injector that has the quality standards of Detroit, but it doesn't have the uh, uh, the stamp, right? And Detroit gives it, so that way it can be OEM. Um, but yeah, there is so many things, right? Then we can say about these injectors, but I don't think an injector is just gonna fail just because it's going to fail. I think most likely it's just because of the quality of the injector. But you know, um, that is mostly what I need from you to know if you use OEM. I mean, brand new OEM. Like brand new OEM is the best you can buy. to be honest, but it's very expensive. Says a lot of companies expect the ground accelerate you in engines running well outside their sweet spots with which lots up emissions and causes issues upstream. Yeah, that's true. The thing is like people like to save money, right? Um, or people like to create engines or things, and just because the engine is powerful has everything. I think the best way to maintain a truck, anything or any vehicle, regardless of what it is how it came from factory. Because most likely more vehicles from usually vehicles from factory are designed specifically for the specific type of work. Um, but I noticed, and let's say for example, right, manufacturers in general, they are pushing lower gear ratios on trucks. Let's say 215s, 218s, 216s. I haven't seen lower than 215s, to be honest, myself. But 215 is the lowest I have seen a ratio, gear ratio, differential, rear end, or final drive, how people call it as well. 215 is a very low ratio. Um, and with these gear ratios, right? Uh, you need faster. Um, yeah, because the override is going to be way slower. So you're gonna need a faster transmission, then can create more speed. Uh, so all that power, all that uh, uh, force is not the transmission anymore, it's the engine the one is providing. Because the transmission is not just, let's say, uh, a component, right? The transmission is the power in between the engine and the wheels on the back, right? And the transmission multiplies the power. And if the transmission has a very fast pace, of course you're gonna gain speed very fast, but you won't have the power to compensate or to maintain the engine in a good condition. And if you have a very low ratio or very slow transmission, you won't have speed, but you will have more power. But then you won't be able to go more than the speed that you need to go. So, and that's where uh, uh, manufacturers are creating these. And I see then you are saying that Volvos are coming with a 2.0 next year. That is a very low ratio, very very low. That definitely is something that I don't think it's going. I mean, it's good for fuel economy because what they're doing is fuel economy only, right? That's fuel economy. They don't care about how the truck's going to last or how it's going to perform. No, fuel economy, exactly. And I have noticed as well that these manufacturers are using long oil intervals on these differentials and very thin oils. Like they're no thick, they're very thin. They look like water, and the whole point of that is to reduce the amount of friction, right? To reduce the amount of power that it has been dropped by beating that inner fluid, right? But that doesn't help on making a vehicle last longer. That only that only helps to create better fuel economy. Um, and because manufacturers are getting pushed by EPA, right? Oh yeah, you need to create a truck that has a 9, 10 miles per gallon, right? The direction is huge to handle the torque. Yeah, yeah, I believe that because of course you have a lower gear, you have a higher resistance for moving. Uh, so you need more better, how can I say, more capable system to deliver this power, because otherwise you're gonna break it. Because the just the power to move this 2.0 differential is higher than moving at 3.63, at 3.43, right? Differential, because it's larger and it's easier to move, especially when you're loaded. But I mean, that I don't think that is a good idea, but you know, is what it is. That is what they are doing, and I also think, then of course, okay, fine, they're doing these differentials very small, very uh, uh, we can say fuel economy oriented, but they're very expensive. When you go buy one of these differentials, extremely expensive, and because they have to put so much technology on these differentials to be small and be capable and be durable to resist the power, the torque of the engine. Um, and they made these differentials very expensive. You're gonna spend, if you go to the dealer, probably spending like $7,000, $8,000 for a differential. That's a lot of money. And if you go outside, probably spending like $4,000 for a rebuild differential, a lot of money as well. So I don't think that is a good idea. Yeah, more gears, very common. I mean, so it was so funny how manufacturers wanted to get rid of the 18-speed transmission in the past, because the 18-speed transmission was just a waste of money, waste of whatever, gears and everything. And now they're going back to the 18-speed liter by liter. So they started with 10, now they're going with 12 with automatic transmissions, right? Eaton have their own 18-speed endurance transmission. And yeah, you're going 14 speed, because of course, right? The more gears you add to a transmission, the easier time to move a vehicle, right? Uh, and of course, in between gears, right? Let's say this is a regular 10-speed transmissions. In between those gears, you're gonna have the 11, 12, 4, 13, 14, and this is going to help create the power that you need. But I mean, uh, it is just for fuel economy. It isn't because of to improve the durability of the transmission of the components. It is just exactly for fuel economy. Manufacturers are not caring anymore about how long the engine is going to last, or how long the transmission is going to last, or how long the vehicle in general is going to last. They just want to, be classified as the number one fuel saver company under the eyes of the EPA, and then the rest, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, it's something then we have to deal in the future. I see that, and also I see another thing. Then manufacturers are coming with smaller engines. They are pushing smaller displacement engines, and that is also not a good idea. I don't know if that's true, but I heard, and at least in case of the DD15, it's going to be pushed a little away, and now they're only gonna use the DD13 only as the main power plant. Not sure. I heard that, but not sure. I have a 10-speed direct, and plan to do a Super 10 in mind, so I will be able to run direct 9, yeah, and 10, yeah. When I need to move, yeah, that's good. I mean, Super 10, a lot of people love the Super 10s. They were quick. Uh, if you know how to drive them, people hate them. But if once you are used to, I mean, it's just like driving a regular car. So uh, people really love those, right? They went away just because uh, people didn't know how to drive them, I suppose. Uh, and also the regular 10 speed became a little more easier, doing all the gears without doing all the up and down. Getting in, it require less, easier pace. The Super 10 was a little faster transmission. You have to do it a little faster. But I think In this case, we're getting closer to an end because I have things to do, so I have to go home and still eat and all that. So I'll be ending this video soon. So if you have any more questions, you can ask them now. If not, I'll be ending this video soon. So I think it will be better to progressively shift as you have two gears in each hole. Yeah. I mean, the Super 10 is just a faster transmission, regardless. I mean, uh, no one, if whoever draw a Super 10, they can say the Super 10 is the fastest transmission on a truck as a manual transmission, right? Not automatic. I mean, a manual transmission. So, yeah, and that was one of the ideas of creating the automatic transmission Super 10s, right? Because they were very at the end, after using them for a while, they were very basic transmissions, 5 years only, and then the rest it was just to maneuver with the French selector, and you were fine. Um, but talking about transmissions, it's just a big topic when it comes to that. And manufacturers in this case are just pushing away all any type of a manual related transmission. Everything is automatic nowadays, and even more automatic with more electronics, and also more complicated, expensive, and in some cases they cannot be serviceable. So in some cases, manufacturers are pushing, in some brands are pushing the repairs away from the transmission. So if the transmission breaks, you have to repeat the transmission. Very simple as that. So in one of your videos, you posted about a failing of a fuel pump, and I have the same noise like she. Okay. But the truck starts to run fine. Should I be worried? Well, if you have that sound like a, like some kind of like whatever noise, then like shitting noise or whatever that I can say. Uh, well, yes. In some cases, injectors causes that problem. Fuel injectors. In some cases, air in the system causes the problem, and in some cases, fuel injector O-rings causes that problem. So you may have one of those problems, but you need to worry about finding the problem, I would say. And yeah, just pay attention to that because it's going to cost more money later if you don't pay attention. Just find it out, remove injectors, and you can see. And if it's necessary, replace the O-rings and all that, and might fix it. And if you don't have any problems starting the truck in the mornings, most likely you don't have air in the system. But if you have problems starting the truck in the morning, yeah, it might be the case. So just look into that. I have three of them years ago, and I love them. I appreciate your time. Your Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. So, yeah. I mean, things super tense. I remember when I was a very young mechanic, a beginner. Uh, there were so many super tens, and yeah, they were very popular people. But some people really prefer the 18 speed or 15 speeds at the time. And but the super tens, they were kind of like people were like, oh no, I don't want to drive super tens because they were grinding all the gears because they were driving super tens as they were driving regular 10 speeds. And so that's the reason why they hate it. And they didn't want to learn, so they just like, you know what, I want to drive a different truck with a regular 10 speed. Okay, so I'm done with this live video. Um, I appreciate all your questions and maintaining myself busy on this live video. And I hope you guys, if you guys are working, I hope then you have a great holiday. And if you are not, if you're home or something, well, I hope the same. And that's how it is. Sometimes we have to work, sometimes not. Uh, but as is now, everything is good. And if you wonder what is this basically what is called buñuelos in Mexico, buñuelos. But in El Salvador, they call it hojuelas. So it's kind of the same. pretty good. Actually, it takes pretty good. So I hadn't here because I was, people gaming. So I was like, okay, then here because I need to do like video, and then I gotta go home. So, all right. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you soon. Next live video, and thank you. Happy holiday. I really appreciate it as well. And well, I was gonna post more content, so here and there. I haven't had a lot of time to do videos lately, and been very busy, with so many things. So lately, I have been working on short videos instead, giving you more point that. So that's the reason why I'm very short on videos nowadays. But I'm trying to keep up somehow. Probably it's not the best way, but you know, I'm trying. So all right. So I hope you guys have great holiday and see you next month for the final video of the month. Live video of the month. All right. Thank you. And see you later.